Good morning, everybody. Enter the stars. It's Monday. Let's get started on decoding the matrix. Now, very few channels took the Apollo connection to Trump seriously. From Trump's NASA Apollo Artemis program, in which he vowed to return to the moon. Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo. To his Apollo 66th floor penthouse. And this went on because in that 66th floor penthouse, there is an Apollo motif and painting. And then we talked about the set of Apollo eclipses we just covered on Friday's show. The Christmas 2019 Apollo birthday eclipse that kicked off the spamdemic. And then there was Saturday's Trump Apollo eclipse rally that would basically signal the end of the spamdemic. So we called these pair of eclipses ice and fire, one occurring on Apollo's birthday, the other occurring on the summer solstice, both related directly into Apollo. And in covering this fire and ice on Friday, when we covered all this, all of a sudden in Trump's speech, he includes a segment on fire and ice. And we'll get into that later in the show. Now, let me just quickly recap. The Christmas eclipse formed a smiley face underneath China. And the summer solstice eclipse formed a sad face under China. Smile now, cry later. Let me see if I've got this eclipse pulled up. I had it pulled up earlier, but we'll see if we can find it. This is it here. This is the summer solstice eclipse, and as you can see, it goes right through Wuhan, China. It lasted 2 hours and 44 minutes. That's 88. Look at this. This happened the night before last, just after the speech, just hours, in fact, after Trump's speech, because of the time differences. This eclipse appeared. This is the summer solstice eclipse. And you're going to see the number 88 reappear in Trump's speech as he pays his respect to the Apollo sun god. Now let's make sure we're connected and we'll continue on with his live show. All right. Appears as though we are. Let's keep going with this and flush this out because there's a lot more stuff going on with this that is very, very sinister. Let's get into some of the elements of this rally. I'm going to play parts of this rally. I've got it pulled up here. Now, Trump did express his distrust in the CV spamdemic. He talked about it. And he even compared the rally to a protest. He goes, okay, if they're going to have their protest, we're going to have our protest. And he was doing that to expose the hypocrisy of the left in allowing their protest to go on across the country, breaking all the lockdown and social distancing rules, right? But when we think about what happened and how all this rolled out, the very president who marched out, Fauci and Burke, allowed the economy to crash, signed the Friday the 13th national emergency that allowed the governors to cage and shut down the American people. He's now trying to posture as the savior from the spamdemic. And it's just shocking to me to see how short people's memories are. How soon that they forget that Trump signed into law the 5G whiz and beyond while we were all on our knees in the quarantine. And we did nothing to keep America open in the beginning. All we got were words, one-liners, and vague clues that he didn't agree with it. But we got no decisive action to end it as quickly as possible, or to even allow it to happen in the first place. As president, if you're going to make a promise to protect small businesses, and then you allow those small businesses to be shut down by a governor, that's not right. Same goes with schools. How can we have a No Child Left Behind laws imposed on schools across the nation, but the president has no power to open schools or prevent them from closing? If he really believed what you're going to hear him say in this speech, then he would have never let them shut down to begin with. Now, there are many other themes during this campaign rally. Black supporters for Trump and the police. But there's a very sinister and glaring history in the very city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to call it a genocide. And it was staring Tulsa in the face, surrounding the very arena where this speech took place. And this very glaring piece of history that has been left out of most history books relates directly to the police and the black race, and it was not given a single mention during the entire rally. In that very city, just yards away, let me blow this up, let me be clear here, just yards away from the rally. Here's the Trump rally in the center of your screen, in the arena, the Bach Arena. We're going to go over that as well. 99 years ago. Remember all this talk about 99 red balloons? We were called crazy? Here's the date of the event that happened in Tulsa, in which 300 or more black businessmen who were operating the most successful set of businesses in the entire country for black people. It was called Black Wall Street. And look at the dates here. Let me make this bigger. The day after Memorial Day. Do you think this is an accident? 99 years ago, from May 31st to 6/20, the date of Trump's opening campaign rally. 99 years, 20 days, 1,188 months, and 20 days. Now you know why there's the 88022 on the number that you text Trump. This is the truth. Just yards away from the rally in Bach Arena, police stood by and did nothing while a mob of white citizens, so it's all in reverse, right? We've come full circle. Master-ker, we're going to call it, hundreds of blacks on Wall Street, they burned it to the ground. They still can't find the bodies. Now, here are some of the possible grave sites that people have postulated. They've investigated where these mass graves might be. They can't find them. Here are two of the possible locations. Let's blow this up. Two of the possible locations. Again, just blocks. Here's where the black detainees were held. In a former baseball field. Possible mass grave here. Possible mass grave here. And I'll show you the stories of this. You know, I'm not making any of this up. There's the Bach Arena. And here's Black Wall Street. Just like 4 blocks away. You can't make this up. Now, to hold a rally in such a place and knowing the racial tension of the country and not give it a single mention should tell you everything you need to know about the agenda that is being set before us. It should tell you everything that you need to know. Unbelievable. This was his ritual campaign start. Staring everyone right in the face. 99 years ago, 66th floor penthouse. That's a mirror Trump chose June 20th to begin his campaign. 99 days after he signed the national emergency. You can't make this up. March 13th, Friday 13th, 2020, national emergency. Date of his first campaign rally, 99 days. 99 years. 66th floor penthouse. Of course he knew where he was giving this speech at. He was sending a veiled message, threat, whatever you want to call it, which I believe is all fake anyway. It's just to stir the pot of racial tension. But it's subliminal. It's sorcery. Because there's a whole group of people in Tulsa that remember this event that happened 99 years ago. And are very angry about it still. And all that it's doing, that he had his first campaign speech there, is stirring the pot, because they're going, why didn't he address this? Now, I don't know this, but I've seen what. Let me show you what's going on here. This is unbelievable. Let's look at some images of this. The mass graves of Tulsa. Black Wall Street. Okay. There's your 99 years. Here's some of the stories. Devastation of Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. Wave of violence destroys an affluent AA community. Here it is here, on fire. Story that this story came out in 2017, explaining what happened. 6 black families own their own planes. What is the incentive to do this? The incentive was, back then, and I'm not saying this is the case now, you guys all know my story as a black man, that I had opportunities. But back then, there were no opportunities. And so for someone to, for a whole community of black people to rise up and be equals with the whites, they couldn't have that. Because what that would do is they felt like they were losing power. So some story came out about there wasn't even an assault, but they tried to say it was against a white lady. And then all of a sudden the mobs, they put it in the newspapers, and the mob started accumulating around Black Wall Street. It was burned to the ground. Now, I'm not going to get into the very details of this. All you need to know, and I'll put links to this in the pinned comment, but all you really need to know is that the police stood by and did nothing. They finally had to call in, like, the National Guard. All the stuff that were elements in Trump's speech. He talks about this in the speech. We'll get into that later in the show. He talks about, all it takes is for me to bring in the National Guard, and in 1 hour I'll have control. He was talking about this event, you guys. This is exactly what they did. They called in the National Guard. But by then, the rioting went on for several hours and days, and it was already too late. 300 people gone. They call it Little Africa on fire. And to not mention this in your speech at all, while you parade, we'll get into that too. I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. Now, when I found out about this, I was shocked. Here are some possible grave sites. Oops, fix that up here, sorry. And one of them was McNulty Park, which I just showed you on the map a little bit ago. Across from it, they call it the Potter's Field mass grave. Okay. What's this? Here are some other possible sites for the mass grave. And as you can see, the Bach Arena sits right here, right there, between two of those mass graves. Possible mass graves. Oak Lawn Cemetery, New Bach Park, and of course just north of here was Black Wall Street. Now here's where I get upset, because there was an endless parade of black supporters during Trump's speech, and before and after. And his main speech was actually framed inside of strategically placed black people. Okay, let me show you so you know that I'm not crazy, all right? You guys know I don't buy into the race baiting thing, which is why all of this looks very insincere to me, because race baiting works both ways. When you live outside the right-left paradigm, you see it for what it is. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You see the race baiting. And look behind this guy. Not one black person, right? Because Tulsa is mostly white. Now, that's just a fact. That's demographics. But here is the podium. And they strategically placed several black people. There's none over here. They all got pushed over here. Okay, so if you're a black person and you're given your seating requirements and they say go back here, you're still selling out because you're being fake. Why are you going to not give a true representation? You're buying into the lie if you go and sit over here when there's nobody over here. You're still being controlled and manipulated. Let's keep going with this because at one point, Kim Guilfoyle, I think she used to be Fox News and she got like fired or something. She reminds, let's go to that part here. So I'm jumping ahead of the gun here. Okay, so they had this black guy come out, right? Then they had a couple white people. Then they put another black person, this guy. Okay, see. And behind him, they don't have him behind the main podium. Behind him, a lot of white people, right? Now watch this. Then here comes Kim Guilfoyle. And here's the token black people that they put behind the main podium. You notice in the other shots that I just showed you, there were no black people. They squeezed them all behind the podium. Now, I hate the left and I hate the right. So don't call me a Trump basher. I'm just telling you guys the truth, what you need to hear. So, Kim Guilfoyle gets up here and she reminds the crowd that Hillary called them all deplorables. And there's an uncomfortable moment here because the crowd starts chanting, lock her up, lock her up. And Kim Guilfoyle knows that they're never going to lock Hillary up because she got the memo. Trump knows they're never going to lock her up because he knows they're not going to lock him up because he is friends with them. And his daughters are friends with their family. But somehow, all of these people chanting lock her up are brainwashed in believing that their chance somehow magically already accomplished the Hillary arrest. And they ignore the fact that Trump did almost nothing to make that happen. And you can see the cringe look on Kim Guilfoyle's face as they're screaming lock her up, knowing that she has no intention of locking her up, and neither does Trump. Let's see if we can find that part here. Wait, okay. She's a prima donna if I've ever seen one.
Today is the start of a new President Trump. Today we celebrate the leadership and President Trump.
Oh my gosh, she's so annoying.
And it is President Trump's leader.
You see how they've got her framed? Like the two black people in the entire audience are standing behind the podium. You can't make this up, you guys.
And there is a man who is trying. The Democrat.
Sorry. Working on it.
We believe. Come and get.
Uh-oh, what just happened right there? It's not good. Look at her face. Did you see that? See this? See that? Do you see that? Look at her face. She knows they're not going to lock her up. Let's look at that again. Wait. Let's go back.
Say, in God's name we trust the Second Amendment. Get him! Come and get him! And called us deplorable.
You see the frown, see the hair flipping? Very nervous because they know they're not going to lock her up. They know they're all at the top working together. That's why. Look at the face. Eyes blinking, twitching, playing with the hair. She knows. So, after this, what happens next after the chant here? She goes on with the Biden bashing, which we knew that was going to happen, right? The candidates basically have become literally extreme caricatures. We've been reduced down in the sheep herd to respecting extreme caricatures, memes of people. Okay? The only thing we react and respond to anymore is an extreme meme of a person. And so that's what they fed us, these meme people. And Biden is so easy to bash because that's the way that both sides designed it. Both sides want Trump reelected. Both of them. And they're playing the fear of the left running the country. That's what they're playing. They're playing that card. They want us to believe that, wow, if Biden gets elected, it'll be the end. So they've given us this extreme version of the left, which is Biden. And Biden's playing his role as some dumb idiot who can't remember anything. Why is he playing the role? Because that role worked for Trump. Played the dumb idiot in the beginning and still now. Every so often he'll throw that out there. And that got him elected, or it got a reaction out of the people. And so now they're going to try it, except they're going to give you the left-hand version of it. Biden, the creepy guy who says inappropriate things all the time, that placates to the left, which are the immorals of politics, right? And that's why they ran Biden, the idiot, because he's unelectable. He's like the sacrificial lamb, and everybody knows it. Unless they pull a rabbit out of a hat and run somebody else on the left, Trump has this election. He's going to win it. But it's all by design. Now, at a certain point, Diamond and Silk come out, right? Let's get to this. Is unbelievable. So I'm just showing you how they're interdispersing these black candidates, or these black, whatever you want to call them. They're not even leaders in the community. They're just, whatever. Here they are, Diamond and Silk, right? As they pander to the black community. And they actually tried to convince us that Trump was about America and not the New World Order. They actually mentioned the words New World Order. I couldn't believe it. You guys, 5G Whiz is the New World Order. Google and its little Chinese social credit score algorithms that have trickled over into America is the New World Order. Contact tracing is the New World Order. Stay-at-home orders across the world is the New World Order. Don't fall asleep on me yet. Now, they mention constitutional laws, all of which were broken and are broken every single day under this lockdown and this mandatory mask wearing. They talked about standing for freedom. All the freedom we lost in the last 6 months. This is all posturing and empty words. And still, no mention of the Tulsa event 99 years ago. It's almost as though they're dancing on the graves. And again, every single speaker on the main podium framed in black men and women. These aren't, because they got them framed in white. See? That's the duality. Blacks in front of all whites. Whites in front of a few blacks. It's all orchestrated mind control.
people want to destroy our country and our very existence. And if you have a problem with the United States of America, you can leave.
Jeez.
And let me tell you how I know my
I mean, am I crazy? Are there like all white people behind her?
Black lives matter. Because President Trump made sure that black unemployment was at an all.
You guys, there are no jobs. The jobs you get are part-time jobs. You got to get 2 or 3 of them just to get full-time work, and no one of those employers will offer you full-time, because at that point they have to offer you benefits and overtime and all the other things that come with full-time employment. That's how America works. That's what needed to change. And yeah, you got more people doing part-time work, but now they're scrambling. Have wages gone up? I don't know. Now, Diamond and Silk go on for a while, and then let's see, then they parade out. Oh, I just wanted to show you guys this banner. Oh, here it is. Okay, we'll come back to that other one here. So this banner says text Trump 88022. We just talked about the significance of that, related to the number of days since the Tulsa event, we'll call it. This also, the 88 also signals back to Trump's role as Biff in Back to the Future. Remember, the DeLorean had to reach 88 miles an hour to jump through time at exactly 10:04 on the clock. And when you convert that 10:04 on the clock to a calendar date of October 4th, that date has 88 days left in the year. And Back to the Future Day is October 21st, which just so happens to be the deadline for Real ID in 2021, October 21st. Now, up next was Laura Trump. And then after her, she's joined by Trump's son. And of course, even though we're nowhere near Christmas, somehow, in the script, in Trump's words, his son's words, he mentions Christmas. He also says something about the next debate coming up is going to be a bloodbath. Very inappropriate language, okay? Now, here again, the white people framed in black. See? They're all right here. Here, 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 here. And you'll notice that 90% of the people in the audience are not wearing masks. Well, that's great, Casey, right? Well, as president, an executive order should have been signed to recognize what we're going through for exactly what it is, a flu. The economy should have never been allowed to shut down, and the only people that should have been quarantined were the people at risk during a flu, which would be the elderly, which of which 95%, I don't know the exact statistic, you can look it up, but of the people that passed and perished from this, a vast majority were these people. And if you do the statistical map, the math on this, you'll understand that it doesn't make sense, because such a small percentage of people that are not in the elderly category get this and get it bad and actually perish from it. There's no way you would risk an entire economy for that, because you're going to cause a lot more heartache, grief, pain, and death by doing that, by shutting down the economy, when you could have just quarantined the older people in their nursing homes, if that's what you wanted to do to save lives. Do you see the hypocrisy of all this? 99 days after he passed the national emergency. Now, we still get no support from this president to end the state tyranny. And like I said, if Bush can pass a federal law like No Child Left Behind and force that on governors and states, then now that's a law. That's like changing the entire way that teaching is done. If he could do that, why couldn't Trump have stopped the schools from closing, for instance? He could have. That's the whole big joke in the room. He's playing both sides. So, then they parade out Pence. Pence is next on the docket here. Let's fast forward to that part. Now, of course, you saw I already showed you guys these. He likes to throw up the 666 hand sign just like his dad. Very, very often. Okay, so here's a shot of that. Let's go to Pence here. Now, Pence was an interesting speaker because this guy is just a man of contradictions. Okay, he's really good at saying the opposite of what really happened. He talked about all the promises that Trump kept, Trump's defense of our constitutional rights and how he's been tough on China, all of which are exactly the opposite of what's true. You guys, Walmart, which is almost all Chinese product, was one of the only superstores allowed to remain open. You know how much money China made on this? I don't care what things were changed in our trade agreement. If they were one of the only stores open for almost a month, 2 months, they were the ones making all the money. Walmart sells mostly Chinese products. We shouldn't even be doing business with China based on their human rights record. We shouldn't have a single product from China in America based on their human rights record. Who wants to support that? Our constitutional rights are being trampled every single day. But Trump just keeps blaming that on the governors. You see how the right-left paradigm works? With the right-left paradigm, you always have to have a scapegoat. In this case, the scapegoat is the media, left-wing media, and the governors. Oh, these are rogue governors. No, it's all the governors. They're all working together. They got the orders from the top down at the Friday the 13th national emergency declaration by Trump. At that point is when all the governors started their quarantines and lockdowns and shutting down businesses. And with the right-left paradigm, all you have to do is keep playing the blame game. Trump never went after the deep state. He never went after high-level traffic rings. He never arrested Hillary or Obama. He broke most of the promises that got him elected. Now, Pence talks about jobs, but they just gloss over the fact that these jobs, like I said earlier, low wage, people have to work 2 or 3 part-time jobs to get full-time hours, and no one employer will pay them full-time benefits. That's what needs to change. There should be some, algorithm that calculates the number of hours that you work. And once you reach a certain number of hours, you should be given benefits. If you're working 40 hours a week, it doesn't matter if that's across 2 or 3 jobs. Someone needs to add that up and go, okay, you worked 40 hours a week. You get full benefits as a full-time employee. Why isn't that an executive order? To actually help people that are working. You guys, chime in the chat. I don't know how many times I've heard this. I can't get full-time. My job won't give me full-time. I got to get a second job. Just let us all know, because it's the truth. I'm not just making stuff up. Those of you that work know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you are on your way to work right now to one of your jobs that won't give you full time. The majority of jobs out there shouldn't be part-time jobs. The majority, 90% of the jobs out there should be full-time jobs. They should all offer 40 hours a week. They're doing it on purpose because they don't want to be on the hook, so to speak, for you as an employee. That needs to change fundamentally. That needs to change in America. Now, he talks about retail jobs and how many retail jobs they have. And I'm just laughing to myself because 3/4 of the retail stores are closing en masse. Small businesses have been decimated. And he even has the gall to keep pushing this Middle East conflict lie, right? So this is Pence to give his 2 cents, right? And then he addresses the riots. Talks about being tough on rioters. And given all that we just discussed, do you see how this fits in now? Memorial Day 1921, Memorial Day 2020, 99 years later. White rioters instead of black rioters. It's like we're in a mirrored time loop, and this is how their sorcery works. This is how they spin their web of lies. He talks about Trump's stance on pro-life, yet has Trump made it a main theme in his campaign to improve and to implore the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade? Has he done that? You guys, millions have died during his pregnancy. You'd think that would be a priority. We have more casualties at PP, Parenthood, than we do overseas. And he brags about how cases are down for the VC or CV. But that's exactly what happens with flus during the summertime. Can't take credit for that. Saying that, oh, it's because of all the measures we put in place. It's hogwash. Now, as Pence leaves, the lyrics to a song by Brooks and Dunn plays. And it's unbelievable. The song is Only in America. And then they mute the broadcast. Now, they muted a lot of this. Let's get to that part. So it's not like they just muted it because they didn't want us to hear the song. I don't want you to get that impression. Gosh, he went on forever. Let's get to the end of his speech here. You can hear this song. So this is the song by Brooks and Dunn. Let's pull it up. And it says, the sun's coming up over New York City. School bus driver in a traffic jam. More Apollo references. Okay. Now, where did this take place? The Box Center. Ready for this? We're talking all about 99, 66s. Well, 33 is a multiple of 99 and 66, right? Here's the Box Center. Now, this Tulsa has a very interesting history because it was founded on, there's a Trail of Tears links. Okay? There are all kinds of links to the Native Americans suffering. Tulsa does not have a very good history. Okay? It's always been about oppression. And look at this. Look at the logo. 3 and 3. That's 33. But watch this. There's a lot of 33s built right in to the Box Center. You're talking about, Casey. Now, as an architect, I was I did architecture in high school. Okay. And I did civil engineering in college my first year. So I know a lot about architecture, okay? I studied a lot of architects as part of my learning in college, right? And I know that a lot of these numbers and the way things are built does not happen by accident. So let's look at all the 33s in the Box Center. $233 million. 33,000 stainless steel panels produced and installed by Zahner. Continued the upward spiraling path around the circumference of the structure. We've got, in total, the building's design required 350,000 square feet or 33,000 meters squared of exterior stainless steel panels. The Box Center's 30 by 33 foot scoreboard was funded by $3.6 million in private donations. And the scoreboard. Here we have the arena's hanging scoreboard, considered one of the most advanced in the country, suspended above the arena floor and measures 50,000 pounds and 30 by 33. We already mentioned that. So there's a lot of 33s built in to this arena. Okay. Now, let's get to the main event. Trump's speech. Let's go to him. And he goes on for quite some time. He comes in here. Let's play a little bit of this.
To the hills of Tennessee.
All right. Everybody loves Trump. And he's white on white, right? Because he's got to shore up his base. So he comes in white on white. And then he has his I don't like using the word token. But in this case, when you're in the right-left paradigm as a black person, you're just being used. That's just the way it works until you step outside of the right-left paradigm and you realize both sides are playing you. So he enters the room and he jokes about a 10-year-old boy, and he says that he has the sniffles and that he infers that the boy was incorrectly diagnosed with the CV-19. So Trump acknowledges this. He acknowledges that a lot of these diagnoses were for other things. Yet he allows the governors to shut down their states based on these inflated numbers. He criticizes governors for not opening schools, yet he won't pass an executive order to open them. And he goes on, he seems to acknowledge that CV is a hoax, or as he calls it, a flu, but he fails to take action in ending it. And here's where things get weird, because the day before this speech, we were talking about ice and fire. And Trump himself mentions ice and fire. Not in those words, but he talks about his speech at West Point to the West Point cadets. And he goes on for almost 20 minutes about this speech. Why? Because people, the left stream media was saying that he stumbled, right? And so he's given an explanation of why he stumbled. And he said that the ramp was very slick, like an ice skating rink. And that the sun was beating down on him. Let's see if we can get to the part of this.
Across the plains of Texas. Order. Great senators. So we 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks.
Let's get to that part.
It is now 91%. That's how good it is. Stole a lot of bad people, and I got it done. Bad characters.
Talking about the fake media.
Been saying it for a long time. All my life, I heard politicians want to lower taxes.
Bashing, Biden bashing.
Of the world. I called Saudi Arabia.
Almost there. Talks about oil coming back. They failed to mention that due to the wavering demand because of the lockdown and quarantine orders across the world, like the oil community should have anticipated this, right? If you got everyone locked in their houses and they can't drive around, guess what? Oil production should have already anticipated this. The second that the world decided they were going to lock everybody up, they should have anticipated this. Oil dropped below $0 per barrel, and now he's trying to take credit for the oil comeback and all of his oil that he's made the United States an oil-rich nation once again, pushing for oil, right? He's playing the right-left paradigm. Oh, if AOC was in power, we wouldn't have any oil, right? And that represents jobs for a lot of these people. So it's, again, the right-left paradigm. Let's keep going.
That will make the pandemic. Not even. Our people call them protesters. Isn't it beautiful?
Where's that at?
Fire I've ever seen. The whole town is burning. It's like the big.
Now he goes on and he talks about several times about, look at this town. This is happening. The left is pushing it in the media, which is all true. But all it takes is for him to send in the National Guard. And in an hour, we'll have that town cleaned up. You don't want people cheering for that. What that is it's promoting the military coming into your neighborhood. And they can do whatever they want at that point. They'll come in under the guise of we're going to stop rioting, but that's why they're allowing the rioting to happen. It's an excuse. It's a doorway. It's to get the crack in the door open. You guys have to see this for what it is. Let's keep going.
And we did something in Minneapolis after watching for 3 days. And we did the same.
Let's get to that.
Everyone. With some of our great congressmen who were, what do you think? But Americans have watched left wing. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. We don't ever get even a mention.
So he's trying to rewrite history and say that because of what they did in shutting down the airplanes to China and all of this, that saved hundreds of thousands of lives, and he shut off planes to Europe and wanted to do more earlier. You guys, that's just simply not the truth. I mean, yeah, he did that, but then he allowed the governors to shut all of us down in our economy. That just never needed to happen. Never needed to happen. Let's get into his fire and ice speech.
Cadet, or maybe they'll be in groups of 2. Would you like to salute like this? Yes. Like this.
Oh, here we go. So this starts at 2:35.
600 times!
So he saluted 600 times to the cadets at West Point.
Because let me tell you, you do that 600 times, you go home and you say, it's like a workout without a weight, right?
Then he talks about how the sun was beating down on him.
Times. Helicopters, the Apaches, and the other new ones that we just bought, over. And the kids throw the hats in the air. It's beautiful, it really is. And it was a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. There she is.
Sun, I came home, I had a
sun,
nice tan.
Nice tan. Okay, so there's your Apollo.
Meaning I don't.
There's your Apollo reference, but he mentions the sun several times, right? Listen.
But I make this speech, right? I salute for probably an hour and a half, maybe. It was only an hour and 25 minutes. It was sick to fake news. So then, I finished saluting my finals. But think of it, so essentially almost 600 times.
Keeps mentioning 666.
He said, "Sir, we can now leave the stage." I said, "Great, General, let's go. I'll follow you." One. And the ramp was probably 10 yards long. I say, "General," now you got to understand, I have the whole Corps of Cadets. I love them. They're incredible. And they do. I've got myself a problem, General, because I'm wearing leather bottom shoes, which is good if you're walking on flat surfaces. It's not good for ramps. And if I fall down, look at all those press back there. And this was a steel ramp. You all saw it, because everybody saw it. And I said, "General, I have a problem." And he didn't understand that at first. I said, "There's no way." He didn't understand that at first. Ice skating rink. This was a steel ramp. It had no handrail. It was like an ice skating rink.
So there's your fire and ice. Sun and ice. Now, he'll go on. I'm not going to belabor this point. But he goes on to mention the hot, burning, beating sun, his tan he got, hot day on the ice skating rink. I think all of this is symbolic. The sliding down the ramp was symbolic and a metaphor of the fallen ones, the sun god Apollo sliding down to earth. Fire and ice. And to think that we just did a show on this the day before this speech. So there you heard it. Now, Trump goes on to claim that the economy is the best in the history of man, despite the toll on small businesses and unemployment because he allowed CV-19 to run its course in America. He claims that his handling of the CV-19 saved millions of lives, as you just heard, but he ignores the fact that almost all places who ignored the lockdown rules never really had substantial outbreaks. And what that means to me is that the flu would have spread in the exact same way it would have regardless of the shutdown. Because there's no difference. Places that didn't shut down or have strict guidelines really did not see a huge amount of the CV. So, all of this was for nothing. Now, he talks about free thought and free speech. But ever since the presidency began, these things have only gotten infinitely worse. Look at what's happened here on YouTube. Look how many channels have fallen off. Look how many channels have been unmonetized. And then, of course, he keeps pushing the Mars, the moon lie, the Mars lie. Trillions more dollar. Flush down the black hole toilet of the fake space race. The moral here is not to get caught up in all of the emotion of the right-left paradigm. See it for what it is. Otherwise, you'll be getting played just like those black people standing behind the podium. Let's go into the chat. That's pretty much the coverage of what I wanted to show you guys this morning. We'll be back on here live tomorrow and the day after. I'm decoding a film about social distancing, wearing masks. It's a sci-fi film. We've also got another follow-up show on Florence Nightingale, because there was actually a spot in the film Back to the Future where Doc says to Marty, that's the Florence Nightingale effect. Florence Nightingale also appeared on the cover of The Economist, in which they said that this year, 2020, is the year of judgment. And it just so happens that Google named their Project Nightingale that started in mid-2019, long before the CV was ever mentioned, that they mentioned this Project Nightingale, this collaboration with Ascension, which is the largest hospital group in America, or one of the largest, and they uploaded all of your personal medical data to the cloud without even telling you about it. And they were using your personal data to plug that data into an algorithm that would recommend to your doctor how to treat your sicknesses. Your doctor was the artificial intelligence of Google. Project Nightingale, named after a woman, Florence Nightingale, who was the mother of all nursing and spamdemics and epidemics, who was an algorithmic mastermind of data. Are you guys starting to see how all this fits in? Google named Project Nightingale because they knew exactly what was going to happen 6 months later. You can't make this up. Now let's go into the chat. I just wanted to let that catch up. Thumbs up this video. I'm sure a video like this will come under heavy attack. Anything that criticizes Trump, or anybody for that matter. I get the same stuff when I criticize the left. I criticize them both equally. It just so happens that Trump's in power. He's the one with his hands on the steering wheel. So, he gets the criticism. What you can do to help everyone else wake up is when you thumbs up videos like this that expose the right-left paradigm, the people that are on the right wing who defend Trump no matter what, they can start to see that there's a lot of people that don't agree with everything that's happening, and that there maybe is a different perspective, and that's how you can help as a subscriber. All right, here we go back in the chat. Thanks, Dr. Savage, for modding. Okay, let's see if I can read some of these comments here. The next year, until the next... Oh, man, I just went by too. Sorry. Oh, my gosh. Now, if there's anything I missed in the speech, now would be a good time to chime in. Hopefully I can read it when it goes by. Have you looked into the smiley face killer? No, I have not. But I'm sure that ties in as well. There's also what is it called? The logo for the Watchman, I think it's called, is also a smiley face. No sound. Someone has no sound. What's going on with that? It's impossible. See all this play out. The amazing time to see all this play out, says Applesauce. It's all under the control. Yes, have faith. I agree 100%, Applesauce. But you can find yourself on the wrong side of this if you're playing into the right-left paradigm. That's why we have to do what we do. Yes, God is in control, but you do not, as an individual, want to be on the wrong side of this. Trust me. What do you think about that nurse? Is she real? Is she playing with a narrative or also an elite figure? I don't know. You're talking about that nurse at the live mic and the undercover. I'm always leery of stuff like that because you got to be careful. Could be real, could not be. Look what happened to the hot mic. All the channels that ran with that, the press corps, they basically got in trouble. They got YouTube took all those videos down. A lot of people got strikes. I think each and every one of you are amazing, Tam Tam. Appreciate that. There's DB Cooper, Allie's in the chat. LEH, Boomer Bear, Aximus Rowe, Melody, Tam Tam, Dark Adapt 81. Thanks everyone for coming out to the show this morning. Smiley face on the new United Nations website, says Golden Mask. We're going to be seeing a lot more of these smiley faces. And if you're confused about the smiley face is the path of the eclipse that happened on Apollo's birthday, the day after Apollo's birthday, December 26th, 2019. That's what kicked all this off. It formed a smiley face. And smiley face goes back in time into entertainment history, movie history, and it always has represented some type of spamdemic. It represented that in the film The Howling, where if you were bitten by this werewolf, you'd be infected, and this werewolf would leave a calling card of a smiley face. We also saw the smiley face on the refrigerator in the Gremlins, which, again, you pour water on them, they would replicate out of control. And the smiley face goes on and on and on and on. It's everywhere. It was in that film 2012 on the refrigerator right behind Woody Harrelson inside of his RV. Smiley face. Yes, King of Kong. The hot mic where the guy said they had been VC'd. Exactly. That people, all the channels got those removed. There is what's called bait. They'll set traps and bait. You got to be careful. The best way to know if you're going into a trap is you just got to listen to the Holy Spirit. He'll tell you. Still small voice will tell you what topics that are bait. So you got to be careful. You got to be wise. Forrest Gump. Thanks, Golden Mask. Yes, there was smiley faces in Forrest Gump as he's in a marathon, right? He's running. The group of people wipes his face with mud on your face. There's so many underlying messages. And then the t-shirt comes off of his face and it forms the smiley face. And remember, who got sick in Forrest Gump? His girlfriend, remember? She got a disease. I don't think it was named in there, but basically, Allie asked, should we stop using the smiley face emoji? I don't think so. Listen, everything is intent. And there's also a dark side version, a light side version to everything in this reality. You're not going to do yourself any good by going through and just thinking that every single thing in your life has to be removed from your life because it's a pagan symbol. Because God uses some of those symbols on the positive side, but the devil counterfeits it and flips it. He flips the script to turn it into something evil. All that matters is what's in your heart. And if you're buying the lie of the smiley faces and you think Lady Gaga is great for singing Smile by Charlie Chaplin during the Together at Home campaign, then smiley faces are bad. But if you understand the lie and you're not using the smiley face to help promote something like that, then the smiley face is good. Do you understand? That's why the elite use these it's called polarity. So they have a positive and a negative, and they think that they can capture both energy poles. They want to capture the God energy and the devil energy. So that's why they have these two pairs of a pair of eclipses. Smile now, cry later. Okay? So, are we going to be crying with this sad face eclipse that just happened yesterday? I wouldn't be shocked if something very painful just rolled out right now. So, as we always say, be prepared. Now, I don't try to predict the future, but the evidence is there as I just laid it out esoterically. Solar events, Trump's preoccupation with solar eclipses, the Apollo angle, all of that is really undeniable at this point. Okay, I think we're going to end the show there. How long have we gone? It felt like a short show, but I've been going an hour. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow, same exact time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Appreciate each and every one of you. The single most important thing you can do to help this channel that doesn't cost you any money is to sign up for the Brave browser. The link's in the description, and when you do that, it fights Google directly. It's our only tool in the fight directly against Google, because when you start using the Brave browser instead of Chrome and all the other browsers that collect your cookies, Brave will not collect your cookies. So you maintain your privacy. It also has a built-in DuckDuckGo search engine. It helps this channel. And it opposes Google. Google has too much power. If you have enough power running YouTube to just shut down channels, people that you just don't even, and to play favorites, like they'll allow all the mainstream channels to say the same exact words that I had to basically change the names, change the words, these sensitive words. If they're allowing them to do that but us not to, that's called the control of information. So download the Brave browser. You can transfer over your bookmarks. It's pretty easy, and then you're good to go. It's actually way faster too than pretty much every browser out there, unless you're using like a Tor browser, and most people don't know how to use those. So I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and be safe.